Good afternoon, everybody. As most of you know, I'm Stuart Clough. Hope all is well with you guys and you're all finding lots of things to do in these unusual circumstances. As promised, I'm looking into online classes using Zoom, but that's going to take a bit of time to get set up, and I just wanted to get something out there as soon as possible using YouTube, of course. And then you guys can get being creative. I'd like also to introduce you to my son, Tommy Clough.
Hey!
Who I recently recruited by increasing his allowance, which is still under negotiations, I might add.
Yeah.
His new position, or positions, is cinematographer and chief editor. So hopefully Tommy's going to do a super job on that. Although he has already been complaining about his equipment, so we'll see how we cope with what we've got. So without further ado, I'm going to get myself in the hot seat and we're going to start our first online lesson. So here I am in the hot seat. Right. First of all, we're going to talk about materials we need. Now, I'm guessing that most of you won't have what I'm going to use today, so hopefully you can still get them on Amazon Prime. Starting with the pastel paper. Now this is a nice pad that I use. It's good value for money, it's not too expensive, and very, very good quality. So it's called Daily Rounding Pastel, 6 colours. I've checked it on Amazon Prime, they've got plenty available and they do next day delivery. And that's around about £10. Next thing I would recommend, pastels. Now the children use these pastels all the times in schools in my classes, and they are Pentel Arts oil pastels. Only £5.99 Amazon Prime, next day delivery. So the artist we're going to do is a lady called Andy, spelled A-N-D-E, Andy Hall, and she's from Santa Fe. Now we emulated this artist in class last week, but as most of you were away, self-isolating, I thought we should, because it's such a great art week last week, I thought we should look at this artist again. And if you've done this piece already, then maybe you could choose a different bird. Now, when you've received your pastel paper, you make a choice of what colour you want for a backdrop or a background. So you can see in this first image, I've gone for a very kind of pale umber, a very light browny grey here. And you can see it coming through the pastels, which is quite nice. And on this piece here, I've used a very dark blue, and again you can see the dark blue coming through, which again is quite well. It creates a harmony in your art piece. So you've got lots of choices to make there. Today I'm going to go for something quite safe. So I'll show you my artboard here. I'm going to go for a nice kind of off-white pastel paper. Okay, so we're going to look at the kingfisher, but I am going to send you different images via email. Or you can log on to the website, which, if my son is as good as he says, you should be able to see at the bottom of this screen now as I speak. Log on to the website, have a look at Andy Hall, look at the fantastic things she does, and choose a different bird if it's not on the email that I send you. Okay, so we're going to do the kingfisher. Alright, which is this one. So we're going to look at the shapes, and again, this is something we always talk about in class, building with shapes, making it so much easier to draw and get things in perspective and get the image the right size on your paper. So I've identified 2 main shapes here, just like we do in class. I've come up with 2 ellipses, okay, one for the main body, which looks a little bit like a lemon, and one for the head, which looks like an egg. Okay, so 2 large ellipses. You could say it's figure 8, almost. Or you could say it's a snowman. Okay, exactly the same shapes. And everybody can draw a snowman. Simplify it and get those 2 ellipses in position like a snowman. I like this figure 8 that I've done there. Then once we've drawn our snowman or figure 8 or lemon, egg, whatever analogy you want to use, we're then going to break up the drawing in shapes. Okay, now you can see, I've done this on the computer. Now I wouldn't do this every time I make a drawing, and we don't do this when we're in class, but this is the type of thing I have in my head. Alright, when I look at this amazing kingfisher, I break down all the shapes in my head so I can get everything drawn more accurate. Alright, so we're going to come back to this again, but that will be the stage after we've done the figure 8 stroke snowman. Right, so the first point is the 2 ellipses, as I said before. Now, it's quite nice to have the image a similar size to what you're actually drawing, because it's almost, you can carry information across. So we're going to carry the top of that eclipse across here, and the bottom of the eclipse to about there. Top of the second eclipse, which we call the lemon, to here, and the bottom of the lemon to there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 horizontal lines, and that's just going to help us get things in position. Okay, I've done them a little bit darker than I would normally do, so that the camera can pick them up. Alright, but try and do them as light as you can because they're just guidelines. Okay, moving on to the first eclipse, which we're calling an egg. Okay, check your angles and just get on with it. Right, once we've got our figure 8, I'm now going to put some other things in so we can tell it's a kingfisher and not a snowman. So we're going to start with his beak, again checking your angles, okay, and drawing it in. And look how sketchy my lines are. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfectly neat. Alright, sketch it in, checking your angles again. Okay, we've got the outline of the kingfisher, so now we're going to look at the shapes. And again, this is something we're always looking at in class. Always going about building up in shapes. But we're going to build up slightly from the left this time. Alright, I'm just going to reinforce that line, checking those lines on that side. Straight lines. Remember, I'm always telling you to draw in straight lines, especially the adults if you're watching. Always straight, but gives it more personality than what it would do if it was a simple curve. Looking for those straight lines, even on the head. And building up those shapes as we go along. So the first shape is the magenta area. I don't know if that's picking that up on camera. The cameraman is giving me the nod. So in goes the magenta part. Down. Notice I'm drawing using a blue colouring pencil on my drawing. Sometimes it's quite nice medium to drawing. The only thing is it's difficult to rub out, but I'm confident that that's you're not going to have to do any erasing. But you guys might want to draw in pencil just to get your confidence up. It's entirely up to you. Also, for the benefit of the camera, it stands out a lot more as well. Right, so as said before, we're going to use pencil oil pastels. Now, when I use oil pastels, I always start with the lightest ones first, alright? If you put the dark ones down first and try to put a light one on top, you can get them dark and it's difficult to cover. So always start with the light ones first and work through the lightest ones, get a little bit darker and finish off with the black. Start with the white, finish with the black. So here we go, getting the white action in there. Always make sure your oil pastel's a little bit clean. Mine's got a bit of yellow on it, but I think I'm going to be okay. Right, so my next lightest colour is a very pale yellow. and I'm going to start looking for that in the image of Andy Hall's artwork there, and just start to fuse it a little bit with the white. You can see I'm going over the top a bit of the white there. Lots of that pale yellow coming underneath the eye, and I'm just drawing it on, not scribbling guys, drawing it on in nice, same direction as the texture of the feathers. Now, another good top tip is go around the whole image looking for all the yellow areas, okay? Like I did with the white, now we're looking for all the pale yellow areas. There's lots of it in the background, which I'm going to start to knock in. Now this is a little bit scribbly, which is quite a nice effect in this background. So you can see I've got random strokes. Okay, that's the pale yellow. Now if we go up a notch to a more vibrant yellow, it's almost like a cadmium yellow. Again, we can go to the side of the pale yellow. Broke it, pressing on too much. In between those gaps, we've got two yellows. We've got a nice vibrant cadmium and a nice pale yellow. Also going to go back to the white, and if we go back to the white we can just fuse a little bit of those two yellows together. Again, going in between the yellows, starting to smooth it out. Now in class we call this, we call it a fuser, but we also call it a blender. Alright, so blenders could be a white, a peach colour, very pale colours, and what they do is they blend the edges of them. Right, I'm now going to a rich cadmium yellow, which you can see is very kind of deep and getting towards orange. And again, I'm going to work that in with the two other yellows, just in between, a little bit where it's quite dense here. Blending in at the same time in those kind of spontaneous marks. Not quite scribble, are they? It's this kind of controlled scribble. Looking around for those deep yellow arcers, again in the branch. We're going to fuse some of these colours out a little bit if we think they're too vibrant. Again on the edge of his cap, working it in with those yellows that we've already added. Moving on to the next colours, I'm going to start looking at some very pale umbers, which is a very light brown with a little bit of grey in it. Also these very pale pinks, and just keep working in. We're still working with light colours, again going in between those yellows.